Natanz. It is highly likely that these missiles were not fired at their absolute farthest range, as Tomahawk cruise missiles have significant ranges that can vary depending on the variant from around 1,250 miles to 1,500 miles. So, with that in mind, this submarine could have been quite literally in the near dead epicenter of the Arabian Sea, firing off a Tomahawk cruise missile that would have been able to successfully land its targets in Isfahan and Natanz. But that also is adding in a additional depth of information to the story at the moment, as we did not know up until now that any U.S. submarines were involved in the strikes that were being conducted against the Islamic Republic of Iran. But we now are able to hear that apparently the Natanz and Isfahan facilities were also heavily damaged as well. Tomahawk cruise missiles do carry a large explosive yield, and let me go and show y'all some information here about the Tomahawk missile, pretty much the B-52 bomber of the missile family. But before we get into that, really quickly, we actually have massive news coming out at the moment. What do we got, Matthew?
Okay, so we've got some very, very disturbing news happening right this second. Television has just announced on Iranian state television once again that every American citizen and military in the region is now a legitimate target. The Iranian state TV has just announced that right this second, so we can expect imminently that there is about to be attacks on American bases, also American citizens. And this was why it was so prudent, if you were an American citizen, to get out of Iran when you could, because now you are a target if you were inside of Iran. And now they're going to be on the run if anybody was left behind that's American inside of Iran. So it's about to get nasty. The Iranians are about to take it right to that level based on what's being said on Iranian state television. Also, by the way, we have gotten confirmation that Iraqi security forces were seen deploying outside the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad around 3 a.m. local time due to these concerns about pro-Iranian militias carrying out attacks on the embassy. So, once again, that is a deployment we heard about a moment ago, and we're getting more confirmation right this second. But the big news is Iran has announced basically that every American is a target right now on their state television.
And it does appear that at the moment, there has been a significant statement by the Iranian state television that every American in the area, civilian or soldier, is currently a target of the Iranian government, and they will most likely be striking and attacking, most likely here while we're live on air, possibly against U.S. military forces and citizens in the region. We can also expect at this moment that the Al Najaba militia inside of Iraq, the Yemeni Houthis in western Yemen, Hezbollah inside of Lebanon, and the Hamas forces inside of the Gaza Strip will most likely be taking any actions they can, wherever they can, to try and strike at, injure, and kill U.S. citizens throughout the entirety of the area. So it does appear quite evident at this point that the Islamic Republic of Iran is most likely going to be choosing the path to war, and this will also seal the U.S.'s fate in ensuring that we will continue to conduct even further strikes against the Islamic Republic of Iran, because right now the Iranians have a choice. They can either back off and realize that they've been bested and their nuclear programs have been destroyed, or they can face total destruction at the hands of the U.S. armed forces. It appears that the Iranians are choosing the latter, but we do have more developments coming out at the moment.
All right. So right this second, we're getting some more disturbing news right now. So Iranian state television is elaborating on their threats. They're saying this to the United States president. This is Iranian state television speaking to the United States president. They said, you started the war and we're going to end it. That's what Iran just stated on their state television. So they're clearly ramping up. They're ramping up their threats even more, and they're getting really crazy with them right this second. Also, by the way, we have gotten a estimated number of active U.S. force deployments in the Middle East right now. We're being told by Fintech's News that more than 40,000 U.S. active duty troops and civilians are working for the Pentagon right now in the Middle East. And now these individuals are in Iran's direct line of fire. So 40,000 U.S. active duty troops currently in the Middle East within Iran's reach. So that's a lot of forces right now that are potentially in harm's way as a result of the Iranian threat. So we are seeing a situation here which is about to unfold that could get quite nasty.
And it does appear that the situation might be getting incredibly nasty, as it appears that once again, the Islamic Republic of Iran is not going to be backing down. They're actually going to escalate the situation and now continue to try and strike at U.S. citizens and soldiers throughout the region, wherever the opportunity arises. We may be seeing that there is a significant threat, once again, like we were stating earlier, of sleeper cells or any form of extremists inside of the United States, Europe, and the Middle East, who may also be called to action by the Iranian government to start conducting attacks on major populated areas or anywhere else for that matter, where there is a large gathering of people. That is most likely a significant threat at the moment throughout the entirety of the Western world, and hopefully all security services and internal security services can remain vigilant in finding and stopping these people before they can conduct any significant attacks on U.S., European, or Middle Eastern soil in any countries that are involved so far or may be involved in future Iranian hostile attacks. But it does appear that it is very evident at this point, the Iranians will not be backing down. It does not matter if the U.S. says that those were the only strikes to be conducted. The Iranians have lost their one toy, the nuclear bomb, and they're now going to be going off on everyone in the region, including the U.S., to see that they will eventually get that back somehow, some way. But nevertheless, we are hearing new information at this moment about the USS Gerald R. Ford, at least at this moment. And we have been able to hear that there is
This is news about Fordo. Actually, I misspelled on the text. I didn't mean to say Ford. I meant to say Fordo. We are getting some more news from Fintech's network right now, apparently about some scans here that detected a flash over the Fordo enrichment plant that we're seeing right here on the post from Fintech's network.
and let's take a look at this.
And this was allegedly from a Meteosat 9 satellite that was apparently flying over the area of the Fordo enrichment site, apparently at the time in which it was struck.
So let's see here. That would be Tehran. So this would be Qom, and that would be Isfahan. So let's look at that little blip. And there's the blip, actually. You can actually see the blip on this one much more particularly than the last one. So let me play that again. There it is. If you're able to see the screen well and you're able to see my mouse cursor, which is right here, I'm moving it around for you to see it. The blip from the explosion at Fordo actually shows up right there. So here it is again. There's the blip. So it does appear that there was a significant blip that came from the area around the Fordo facility, and it appears that this came from a nighttime microphysics scan over the Islamic Republic of Iran. It does once again show us that there was a significant flash of some kind